Hello, my name is Fred Jones, and I serve as the Legislative Analyst for the California Council for the Social Studies. And this represents my first podcast for CCSS, and in fact, my first podcast ever. So please forgive some of the stilted nature you're about to experience. Hopefully I'll improve as this goes along. The plan is for me to give regular updates about once every couple months through this medium to our teachers and administrators and supporters throughout California. So please regularly check our email or our internet site for these regular updates. Most of you may be aware of my work, which is primarily focused up in Sacramento, and the policies and the funding and the accountability matrices that our State Board of Education, our State Superintendent of Public Instruction, our State Legislature, and Governor have all set on schools. But my first podcast, I'd like to spend some time talking about what's happening at the national level, beyond just California's borders. As many of you are aware, under the George W. Bush administration's No Child Left Behind, the federal government started to really assert itself over what schools need to be teaching, and in fact even how schools should be teaching. This effort has been put on steroids under the Obama administration's Race to the Top program. Utilizing the recent work of the National Governors Association and the Chief School Officers Council, the Obama administration set a prerequisite for all Race to the Top grants that a state would have to adopt the work of the NGA and Chief School Council in adopting their Common Core standards for their states. Fully 38 states have done so. So 85% of each of those states' standards are aligned with the recently adopted Common Core state standards. Beyond the whole idea of federalism and the right of national government to dictate terms to state government, and a lot of people have some principal concerns with that, the primary concern that CCSS has with this whole trend is that history social science is not being included. So we see this as an existential threat to the core placement of our discipline in the classrooms throughout California, and for that matter, throughout the nation. Recognizing this threat, CCSS decided to turn to our strengths, which is yours truly and our influence and presence in Sacramento, to send a message to these national leaders that they have forgotten to address all four core disciplines. It's not just English, language, arts, and mathematics, but it's also social studies and science. So, we actually introduced a bill last year to call upon the President, Congress, the governors, and chief school officers to include these other core disciplines in their efforts to develop Common Core state standards. And I'm pleased to report that that effort was very successful. We started by getting the single best author we could have possibly gotten, and that was Assemblyman Tom Torlakson. As most of you are probably aware, Tom Torlakson was recently elected our state's Superintendent of Public Instruction. So we picked the right guy to develop a good relationship with, and for him to understand the importance of this effort. I'm also pleased to report that that bill not only received bipartisan support, we got 63 co-authors, but it in fact passed both our state assembly and state senate unanimously. So we here in California have led the nation in sending a clear message to federal and state leaders that they need to address the entire panoply of core disciplines, which obviously needs to include our discipline of social studies. We've been recognized, we the CCSS leadership, in leading this effort by our national counterpart, NCSS, and by other social studies disciplines throughout the nation. And I'm pleased to report that those efforts are continuing within other organizations, including NCSS, and beyond just history social science. We've enlisted the support of our science colleagues who have gone out to their industry partners in this mutual effort in making sure all core academic disciplines are taught to all students in every classroom throughout the K-12 system. So that's a quick report on what's happening at the national level and national trends and what we're doing here in Sacramento to support those efforts. I encourage you to tune in every couple months, look for a new update, a new podcast from yours truly, and we'll keep catching up as the year goes along. We've got a lot of work to do. I appreciate the work of all of you out in the field, and I look forward to visiting you again real soon.